to the Prospect Podcast on a lovely Thursday once again. We're getting lucky consecutive days of good stuff. I'm Coach Schumann. To my left, I have Coach D, and we have a great guest today, Coach Jesse Chinchar from St. Petersburg Catholic High School. We're really excited to talk to him about his team. He's got one of the top defenses in all of Florida right now, averaging I think 4 points given up per game or something something in that range. Pretty darn low. Let's put it like that. Pretty close to zero. So, which is really good. And we're excited to talk to him about his program. Also going on his Twitter, he's if that's his locker room, that's one of the best locker rooms I've seen in high school. So kudos to you. I don't know how you got that fund to put together for that, but whatever you're doing, you're making some magic happen. So pretty good stuff. So we're glad to have Coach on today. So welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on, guys. Really appreciate it.
Coach, talk about your playing career, coaching career, and kind of your genesis to where you are today at St. Petersburg.
Yeah, I mean, playing was short-lived. Played in high school. So I was at Clearwater Academy International. They did not have football. We started our first ever football program there. When I was there, played quarterback and was on the first ever 6-man tackle football program that we ever had. In our first game, we played with 8 dudes on the team. We all played pretty much every snap. So I did 3 years of that. That was my sophomore year. So I did sophomore, junior, senior year. Somewhere along the way, honestly, early high school days, really decided that I wanted to coach football after playing. So I knew that I was going to coach the whole time. I was coaching on the side while I was playing. I was coaching flag football early days of high school. And then even later in high school in the off season, I would volunteer and coach semi-pro. And so just getting as much coaching experience as I could. And then eventually went back to Clearwater Academy when it was 7-man football as an assistant coach. Took over in 2013 as the head coach, and it was 7-man football at the time still. Transitioned that, I think 2014 we played 8-man football. 15 was 8-man football. 2016 we went 11-man football because we won too many games in our prior league. We won 52 games in a row and a bunch of state championships. And so they said, you guys got to get out. It's time for you to play 11-man football. So we did that. And, just was there from 2016 to 2023 and built that up from 8-man, from 7-man to 8-man to what was eventually kind of a nationally known program. And, after that, did a season at Tarpon Springs as the offensive coordinator. And then the big call came in December of last year when SBC reached out, asked me if I wanted to interview, which of course I was very interested in, and went through that process with them and then was blessed enough to get the job.
That's a really, really interesting journey. Totally different off the beaten path from a lot of football coaches.
And to be honest, Jesse, when I heard you speak with Tony on his podcast, that's what drew me to it was your kind of unconventional type of path, just in terms of playing, coaching, right? We've had some 8-man football guys on here, right? And to kind of come from there, kind of what drew me a little bit to it, especially being where you're at now. Yeah.
No, it's totally different. I was 14 years old coaching flag football going, I think I want to do this for the rest of my life, But even when I remember being a senior in high school and I was sending out letters to colleges being hey guys, these are my stats as a player. Here's some tape. But what I'm really interested in is I want to see if you guys would let me coach for you, and I knew very young that coaching was going to be the thing. Also, granted, when you're freaking 5'8", 150 pounds, playing is only going to go so long.
Right. That's great. Well, what I really like is that you did all these different things to gain the experience, which is really cool. I was willing to do it to be able to gain the experience that you needed in order to put yourself in that position. Kind of, what were some of the things, because you coach a lot of different aspects, from semi-pro to 8-man football to flag. What were the different things you learned at the different stops along the way?
Yeah, I think, Coach mentioned is this, like, in terms of like even me connecting to Tony, right? It's more like kind of the mindset that I've had. It's like, you don't just do things just to do things, and like when I was coaching 8-man football, like you're talking about the most unconventional brand of football that there is, right? So like I was open from a very young age to trying to learn from anybody. I think would be the biggest thing. So like even like, like when Kevin Kelly was popular back in the day in terms of the never punting and always onside kicking, like we dabbled in that. Like I found Tony's stuff. Like I was open to learn from anybody, like very, very curious and very, very willing to find any source of knowledge and test it out and see for myself if it worked. I would say that would be the biggest thing, to be honest.
That's yeah. I mean, the different aspects of it, the games are different. So each one of those things, the game are different. I always like my my favorite videos online with Sevi Pro is that they call it, what is it called, the 37U. So you're doing
all this work on Monday, like 37 years.
Yeah.
I love it. And the semi-pro world, like you have a good amount of that, right? So you have young guys that are really good, you got older guys that are hanging around, and so you got to coach that aspect of it. You're coaching adults actually. And then you have flag kids, and then you got 8-man football. What was actually, before I get to 8-man football, are there elements of flag that you now see present in game today as in tackle?
I mean, sure, just in terms of the technique and stuff like that, you know what I mean? Like I definitely did that when I was younger, and like the immediate carryover, there was a lot of stuff where it's like just the fundamentals of football are present in both, you know what I mean? The game is very different. I mean, like
right.
I joke about it with people now. It's like flag's a different sport. It's not even football.
Correct. I agree.
It's football-esque. It's football adjacent, but the fact, like, to me,
it's a great way to put it.
7-on-7 is closer to football than flag is, and it's fun. Yep. Don't get me wrong. I'm not bashing the game, but it's just so different. Like the fact that the quarterback is being openly rushed like that. Like, all right, so every play is zero blitz, like.
Right. Yeah, you're the first
forward twice, but it's behind the line of scrimmage. Like I'm like, that's a different sport at that point.
You're the first coach outside of when me and Derek are chatting offline about this stuff to actually articulate it in that way. Like we kind of always said that. First of all, we always say that tackles obviously a sport. 7-on-7 has become its own sport, but it used to really be just that was just Skelly, right? In a 50, and then and flag is a different sport. They all have a football in it. They all are football elements, and we always would say that like flag has football elements, tackle football elements, and it that definitely can carry over. But you're right, like the zero blitz, all these kind of things are totally different. 7-on-7 to us is always more like football, even though it's it's one-hand touch. Because of the fact of the passing game element and coverages and how you have to play things and you got to make reads and stuff, right? Whereas I said flag, like the more funky I can get with what I'm doing in flag, probably better off. I'm going to get more guys. I'm going to get open quickly. So
I had a flag football coach reach out one time. Like it was a buddy of mine and he was coaching his kids, right? And he's just like, I want like some flag football plays. I'm like, honestly, I might hurt you more than I help you. Like drawing up some real football plays that are like, we're drawing up some drop back passing. And I'm like, you're not going to have time for any of this stuff. Like, I don't know this game well enough anymore. It's been too long.
Yeah, no, it's a great point. 8-man football. So when you're with 8-man football, what were some of the things that you really loved about it? And what do you think translated into your elements from coaching when you moved on to regular 11-man?
I loved 8-man ball. Like obviously it's a totally different game, but I think it forced me, like a lot of people would ask me like, how would you get your plays and stuff like that. Like for me, I would actually get it from, 11-man football, watching college games, just like any coach would. Right. And then I would pare it down for 8-man football, not the other way around.
Right.
And I would find a way to adapt it because I also wanted our kids to be running real schemes at that point. Like 8-man is as close as you can get, I think, to the real deal. Like you got to think you drop the tackles and then you take out a skill guy. Like all of us could still scheme some real stuff up. You know, would say that you're limited, but it is the closest thing to real football. You know, I mean, it is real football. It's just a different version of it. You know, I had a blast doing it. I think it forced me to think outside the box and come up with some unique stuff. Right. But I think as well, like I just really learned a lot of my like early lessons on like along the way, just in terms of like how to coach kids, how to relate to people, how to build a culture. Like I was very young. I took over, I think I was 21 years old. Like,
wow.
I really learned how to build a program and how to relate to people and how to teach the game at a fundamental level, I think was the biggest lesson for me.
Mm-hmm. Cool. And, you know, taking to where you are now, what were some of the building blocks of building the program? You obviously said there was a genesis of where you had to go to build the program. Talk about that.
Here at St. Pete Catholic?
Yeah. Now that you've taken over St. Pete Catholic, yeah.
Yeah, I got there. I got the job in December. Really, you know, hit the ground running right before the Christmas break, just in terms of putting together a schedule and a staff and all that stuff. But when I got to the school, we had 16 kids in the program. You know, we eventually got a couple more to come out from the hallways that weren't going to play until I got there. And then in the spring, we got up to, I believe we had 23 kids on the team in the spring. I mean, spring, you just talk about how hard that would be from a coaching perspective of figuring out your practice. You know, you're all fired up for day one of spring. You got your scripts and everything. And of course, 23 kids run out and you're like, okay, what can we do? You know, like we were really, really limited, fully being, you know, one platoon team where everybody had to play both ways. And then now fast forward to the summer and the fall, we got about 62 kids in the program. We had 25 incoming freshmen. You know, which that always helps. And we always knew that was going to come and help bolster the numbers a little bit. And then we were lucky enough to have, you know, just some transfers and some buzz being built about us, and, you know, have been able to start the season out 5-0, and every game has been a running clock. We've been off to a hot start, I guess you could say, for sure.
No doubt about it. 5-0 and giving up 4 points a game definitely is a hot start. So how did you turn that so quick? Like, how did you build the roster so fast? I mean, did you have to go hallways? What'd you have to do that?
I mean, hallways for sure. We got a couple kids, and just the buzz that we started building. Like, you know, I hired my strength coach, who's unbelievable. I think he's the best in the country for high school football. He's got a unique brand in itself, and like I would say locally, people know who I am a little bit, and so between the two of us and just the buzz that we were, you know, I think people always knew St. Pete Catholic as a sleeping giant as well. Like, it's like if the right regime gets in, this place could be amazing. You know, like, you got to look like Pinellas County is St. Pete is the most talented city in our county, in my opinion. And like, there's not been a great private school program in St. Pete for a long time. Like, St. Pete Catholic has been good before. But outside of that, you know, it's been a while since we've been any good. Outside of that, there's not really been a great product in terms of private school football. And so I think, like, just all of the things that kind of started to go in motion, myself getting the job, hiring Coach Juice, you know, 1 or 2 transfers coming in, and you know how kids are, like, they see 1 or 2 and they're like, man, I want to play with that guy. You know, like, we got a quarterback who transferred in the first semester or at the midway point of the year, and when you get a quarterback, everybody wants to play with that guy, you know, and ball in motion, we get a couple more transfers, a couple more kids in the hallways come out. The freshman class ends up being a little bit bigger, you know, like, it just kind of snowballed. Like, it really did feel like one of those things where if you build it, they will come. We kind of built the brand and the culture. And I think everybody realized what we were doing, treating kids the right way, lifting really, you know, smartly and intensely in the off season. And by the time it came for that second window, like, we just, you know, we kind of just filled up.
Most famous
I also
player.
think too, I was just going to say, like, the way that Florida is structured when it comes to the transfer rules and things like that too, it does make it kind of easier for guys to kind of come in and come out. Absolutely. Right. I mean, and that's not like that in other states. So, I mean, you do see it a lot in Florida where that helps, but you're 100% right, Coach. And that's, you know, when I was listening to you speak with Tony and all that kind of stuff, listening about the buzz that was created in a place like St. Pete, right, where, you know, the product hasn't been what it's been, and with the ability to kind of maneuver around in terms of, you know, players can come in and kind of, you know, easier than other places, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't going to take much other than, you know, a couple of those things kind of come to it. And now with the product that you've built, it's only going to continue to grow, right?
Yeah.
Because like you said, guys are going to see that, they're going to want to flock to it. And it's, you know, you're making it as convenient as possible to go into a positive situation for these guys. And I think that's kind of where it's at in terms of that. And also, like, with the way Florida is structured with the private schools being the way they are, when it comes to playoffs and whatnot, I think that's going to benefit because everybody's kind of smashed together, correct? If I'm not mistaken, right? Florida, private schools and public schools all play playoffs together.
So it's based on like the size of the school. So like
of course.
Once it comes time to play playoffs, we'll play other 1A schools, and so we will play schools of our size basically. But there are some crossovers in the other divisions.
Yeah.
That's the thing about Florida football. There's so many different levels, sizes.
I know, it's awesome, dude.
It's crazy, yeah.
What's the biggest? I think 8A, right?
8A. I mean, like when I was at Clearwater Academy, we had 100 kids in high school, and we beat the 8A state champion.
Yeah. Awesome. You just create factories, man. I love it. It's the best.
Just like that, but that just from a standpoint of like just like wild, you know, like you walk in, we got like 43 dudes on the team. We got 100 kids in high school. And you walk in and you play this 8A state champion in like a historic stadium. You're like, man, this is pretty cool. Like we didn't have a practice field. We didn't have a weight room. We didn't have a stadium. Like we didn't have any of those things. So like even just to go in and play some of these schools, let alone win, like was like so cool to like go into those environments, you know. But that's one of the things about Florida. You get to do some stuff like that, which is pretty fun.
Yeah, very cool. And that locker room, how'd you guys raise that money for that?
Believe it or not, it was before I got there. So it was about 4 years before I got there, and they just didn't really promote it. Like before I got there, and this is a thing, you know, I think that's led to our success as well. It's just like the branding and social media, right? Like kids want to be a part of a brand. And so before I got there, they didn't have an Instagram for the team. The team hadn't tweeted since, so I got the job in December 2024. The team hadn't posted a tweet, I think, since 2018. You know, like there's just no visibility for this program. So we got a multi-million-dollar facility with the locker room and all that stuff back there. You know, my office is back there. It's beautiful. Like nobody knew that it was there. And like the people at the school, I think even perceived that like the lack of brand, you know, like the admin was like, we don't have a brand. Like we have a team, we don't have a program, you know? And so like my mission with the administration at the school and our new athletic director, like, it's like, let's create a program, you know. I think pretty fast we've been able to put at least the foundation of the program, I think, is very strong so far.
What are the first of all, before I go into my question, is Marty Lyons the most famous player from the school?
He would be up there for sure. We've had a couple NFL guys come through the program.
I see. Yeah, Chris Davis, a couple other guys. Yeah, is that Chris Davis who played at Auburn, or Chris Davis, or is that a different Chris Davis?
You know, I actually can't remember.
I'm not sure. I wasn't sure which Chris Davis that was. But yeah, I know who Marty Lyons is, obviously, because when I was a kid, he was part of the Sac Exchange. Yeah. So you guys are a little young for that, but yeah, we
know him as the voice of the Jets now. So
yes, right. That was the old guy that does the voice. But yeah,
hey, I watched the 30 for 30. I know he was in there.
Right.
That's great. What was going to say? I lost my train of thought for a second. When you took over, you're building the program and trying to establish a brand for the program. What are some of the like guiding principles for you from that standpoint?
Yeah, I mean, I think like you got to have something that you're about first and foremost. You know, like what is the product that we're trying to create? You know, like for me, like first and foremost of our program, like we want the young kids in our program, the young people in our program to be better for having been a part of our program, right? So like that's what we're about. Like we want these kids to fundamentally be better for having been a part of our program. And then we have that standard, right? Like when I was at Clearwater Academy, we had our standard, right? And at St. Petersburg Catholic, the standard is called the gold standard, right? And so that is our brand. Like that's the lifeblood of the organization. Anything we're going to do it great. We're going to hold ourselves to that standard. And that standard is the standard no matter what, right? And so that, you know, a couple things like that. And then you talk about some of the sprint-based football stuff and some of just the core values that we believe in, right, are going to be a part of that brand. And then from there, like, to me, like, visibility, like, in terms of branding, you got to be out there, you know, like, the number of times you get yourself out there is the number of times you have a chance to get seen. So we're going to be frequent. We're going to be often. We're going to be in your face. And, like, to me, in branding, like, honestly, in starting a brand, like, you almost have to be so prevalent that it's almost annoying at some point. Like, guys, these guys,
absolutely.
This is the Twitter program. That's the Twitter coach. Like, call me what you want. Like, we're trying to build a brand.
Oh, yeah. Because I mean, look, I've seen it done here in Jersey. With some of the programs that, look, it's probably usually tied to a younger coach, right? It's usually kind of how they get there. But look, if you're talking about me, I'm doing something right? Irregardless, you know what I mean? So that visibility, you got to understand, like, even the traditional programs that are trying to, look, you have to adjust with the times a little bit. And like I said, if they're talking about you, you're doing something right. And that's huge, especially in a private school where you need to attract kids to just create your roster. You're not getting, town fed youth programs, here you go type of thing. You need to literally bring in a class every single year. And that visibility through social media is key.
It is. I mean, I view it as I need to attract everything, right? I need to attract coaching staff. I need to attract players that were in the school that didn't want to play football before I got there because it wasn't fun. I needed to attract a strength coach. I needed to attract student managers and social media managers, and you know what I mean? But I started, I was the only one with the account. Like, I'm the one running the entire thing in the beginning. And then now eventually I've attracted students at the school who are uniquely talented in terms of video and film and social media. And now they're running the whole thing, but
that's awesome.
Again, we had to build the brand, and then, if you build it, they will come. Right. So we built the brand, and now people want to be a part of what we're doing, and I think anybody who's around it, it's just the culture, anytime you visit a program and the culture is right, you can feel it from the moment you walk in.
Absolutely.
Everybody has said that about us, I just think we do a really good job of treating people the right way and taking care of people. And, you can feel that.
Well, I think that's true too about a program. I think that's ultimately what people are going to be. Winning and losing is one thing, but people are always going to remember how you made them feel personally, regardless of what it is. You know what I'm saying? So if that's your approach, right? Because I always say, you win with people, not play. It's just, you got to win with people, man. That's the key to everything is having those relationships, because that's what most people are going to remember for the longest time is what you did, how you treated them. And then like you said, it's just kind of word of mouth as you keep going. What's the plan to kind of keep that going forward and grow kind of from there with all of that? How are you going to continue to trend upwards? Obviously it's showing on the field, right? And you've kind of done this before, right? So is it going to be the same type of track as you were at your last place?
Yeah, I mean, I think success leaves clues, and I think even where we are now, we've started to have some success. And so anytime you start to have some success, you want to double down on your successful actions, and so I think for us, it is continuing to emphasize all the things that we've done to get to this point. We haven't arrived yet, but we're starting to get closer to where we want to be, so I think it's, doubling down on some of the social media stuff, doubling down on the amazing job that we've done with our strength and conditioning, and even finding a way to get more resources into those things, bolster all the things that have gotten us to this point, just in terms of bringing in great coaches, bringing in, a great, social media team, bringing in, anything that we can do to make these kids be successful is what we're going to do at the end of the day.
I think, that's a huge part of it. You talked about Tony Hollow a little bit. Talk about, so I'm assuming you're doing sprint-based football or some capacity.
Yeah.
Talk about, what you've implemented from that standpoint.
Yeah, so I would say it started, not to make a long story long, but it's, I'll try and make it a little bit short. It's
a podcast. You can make it long.
In 2020, during the COVID year, we had a lot of soft tissue stuff going on. And really, I told Tony the same thing. He asked me on his show. It's just what made me reach out. We had enough stuff going on where we just didn't have guys available. We had soft tissue stuff left and right. And I think a lot of people we'll just sit there and go like, oh, bad luck, and like, for me, I don't believe in that. Like, to me, it's like, what are we doing wrong? What have I done to hurt the program, right? And so we just really internalized, I did, and just spent a ton of time looking at what we were doing and talking to a lot of people that I considered smarter than myself in those fields, and kind of stumbled on Tony's stuff, like his number one article, and just kind of really just like the light bulb clicked, man. Like, I think I stayed up all night reading more and more of his stuff, and I'm like, this is a method, right, to get our guys back on track from a health perspective, and there's a lot of other aspects to it that are amazing too, and I can talk about all those things. But simply put, it was a means of getting our kids back on the field, and we saw results right away. And so again, just like I said before, you double down on something that gets a rise in statistics, right? So our stats are better. It's like, all right, well, let's invest more. And so just start doing more of that stuff in terms of the speed training and just building out the program to resemble some of the things that those guys believe in, Tony and Brad Dixon and all the guys who do a great job, and just try and learn. I always try and learn from those guys. So just have found different ways to implement things into our program to be a feed the cats type program for sure.
What does practice look like for you guys, implementing the program? What is that kind of,
I think from a outside perspective, I don't think we would look crazy different, but it's more just in terms of the structure. Tony said it really well. There's a wave to our week in terms of like the performance days, right? Like for us, we've gone to like Monday is a light day for us. We're out on the field for, I think it's an hour and 20 minutes is our practice on Monday. But we're not in pads on Monday. We're just in helmets on Monday. And the whole concept of Monday is it's going to be a fundamental day, right? Like we're really going to improve our fundamentals, and we are also going to use it as an install type day. If we got anything new in the game plan, we're going to make sure that gets in on Monday. And then if there's any major correction from Friday, we're going to get that done on Monday. So like, to me, it's not a performance day, meaning we are not opening up the tank, right? Like we're not putting the pedal to the metal on Monday, right? It's a slower day from a legs perspective, from a physical toll on the body. It is less. It is a low volume day. But to me, it's a mental Monday. We're going to learn. We're going to get better. Like we can be just as productive on Monday as we are any other day of the week. And I think it also sets up your performance days from a coaching perspective. To me, like I'm very big on teaching with gradients and installing with gradients. So to me, it almost is a benefit to be the first time that I teach somebody something, I'm going to show them, right? I'm going to show it on the board. I'm going to hopefully show some form of clip of it on the TV for the kids. And then we're going to walk through something, and then we're going to run. There's a progression. There's a teaching progression, right? And so the fact that we don't have to go full speed on Monday actually really benefits my teaching progression. And by the time I get to Tuesday, these kids already know exactly what to do. So that's the wave of our week. Is Monday is light. Tuesday and Wednesday are performance days for us. Tuesday being the hardest volume day of the week, Wednesday being tapered off just a little bit. And then Thursday, just like anybody, is going to be our walkthrough day where it's really, really light. We've gotten out on Thursdays before in 30 minutes. Like as fast as we can get everything done that we're going to get done on Thursday, we are going to get out of there and be fresh, not fried for Friday.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Being fresh is a big aspect of it. Now, what does your lifting program look like? Do you guys lift a lot in season? Are you lifting a lot during the week? How does that look?
During the off season, we lift as much as we possibly can. I will say we're a little bit limited right now where we are. We're only lifting one time a week in season right now. We would like to move to twice a week in season next year. Believe it or not, one of the things that we're working on right now is a brand new weight room, right? And so when you talk about what are you going to do to continue to evolve, we're going to come out with a brand new weight room. Yeah, so that is happening, unfortunately, during the middle of our season, right? So it's limited a little bit of what we could do, and the space is really small right now. So when we have what we need, we'll be able to move to a 2-a-week model. But right now we're one. We go on Mondays for our lift days right now.
Very cool. Going forward, as you continue to evolve the program, what are some of the necessary next steps that you think to continue to create that sustainability that you want in the program?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I think we got to go out and play some big dogs. Like I Clearwater County, back down from anybody. We played Lakeland, we played Venice, we played a bunch of state champions. We played in Tennessee, we played in Ohio, we played in Texas. Like, I want to start.
You played monsters. You played a lot of monsters at that other place that you
played Shamna, you know, any we played, and so I want to eventually get to that. Like, it will be on a gradient, you know. Like, year one, our schedule is the way it is because I had 16 players when I took over.
Right,
you know?
right,
absolutely.
I think our kids are clamoring to play more, bigger, and you know, and more fun games and go out of state.
Sure.
So we're gonna do some of those things and go out and play some bigger dogs. And I think just, you know, like we've you know, we're 5-0. We've done a great job, but we haven't arrived yet. So let's do it against some people who, you know, are maybe more established programs, and, you know, just continue to build.
Right. And I think that, but that's also, you know, that's part of building the confidence within the program and the structure and the culture and, you know, just the administrators as well. Right. Because, you know, that stuff all has to, there's a process to thing, right? And it's calculated because you've done it before. The proof is there. Hey, this is kind of where we have to be year one, year two, right? And then even break it down within the year itself. All right, this offseason we have to, you know, accomplish this, or these are the goals, these are the standards. And then obviously with that comes the attraction for other students to be, you know, hey, we're going to go there, or hey, we want to go there. I have a quick question. In terms of that, staying on that kind of topic, how does it work with you in terms of middle school or youth programs? How do you kind of handle that, coach, within the area? Because if there's one thing that I'm pretty sure majority of our national audience understands is the level of middle school football in Florida and what that craziness. We want to talk about Wild West within the transfer school.
Yeah, I mean,
but the middle school football world is wild in Florida.
Yeah, I mean, middle school and youth is wild. We don't have middle school, right? So that would be a big advantage, right? Like, some of the schools in our area have middle school, so they get these kids from a young age, and then they just cycle them through the program. So we don't. So for us, you know, we're a Catholic school. We have a lot of feeder schools, so we end up with a lot of kids who are built into our network who end up coming to us, and some of them are football players, some of them are not. You know, so you know, you kind of get what you get with those freshman classes. But of course, the bigger the buzz that you build, the more these middle school teams or the youth teams want to come out to the games and watch us play. And there's a buzz for sure. You know, there's a buzz out there about kids wanting to be at St. Pete Catholic for sure.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. That is because I guess the youth programs, right? There's also a lot of all-star programs down there. Is that what it is?
Tons. I mean, the thing about Florida is you can play football year round, you know, so like there's always some form of football.
Jesse, yeah, man, it is one of those advantages in the South, right? It's one of those advantages down there. Dave and I constantly talk about it in terms of where we are in New Jersey, the Northeast. Like, it is so seasonal. Right. Yeah. And look, one of my best friends is the head coach at American Heritage Plantation, right, over in Plantation, and runs a phenomenal program. Right. But he's a Jersey cat. And that's the one thing he says. It's always the separator is, dude, I have spring football down here. Right. Like, we even look at, like, with we have a 7-on-7 club here. It is so different when you look at the 7-on-7 clubs in Florida in terms of just that geographical of it is so different because, like you said, you can play football year round. So continue with that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it just gives you such an advantage. Like, nowadays we can do 7-on-7 in the off season. We can go out and compete. We can do speed work in January. You know, there's nothing holding us back from getting a beach workout in January. You know, like, there's just no end to what you can do from an outside perspective in terms of resources. You know, from a football perspective, being year round, being able to throw the ball all year round. You know, our kids are playing 7-on-7, even if it's not with us, right? They're out there competing, getting better at football. Like, there's just no
100%.
limit to what you can do, and it's a matter of how creative can you be to take advantage of it.
There's no doubt about it. I think that the ability to play all year round is such an advantage for Florida players, and all the other things that are going on is not just obviously football, but the ability to get better all year long is such a difference maker in the state of Florida. And
you know what's crazy about that, Dave, is I don't think a lot of those guys even realize that because they've only ever been in Florida. You know what I'm saying? Which is so fun.
No, you don't.
When we're
you don't
like sitting here,
about it in terms of how lucky we are, because we've always had spring ball, like even
it's also like for
Yeah.
us too, when we're talking to parents and we're trying, oh, my kid's a scholarship guy, my kid's this, we're like, but like he only plays in his little bubble of youth football here in New Jersey, right?
Yeah.
And it's like while he's off, wrestling or playing basketball, and look, multi-sport athletes, we get the aspect of it too, but the honing of the craft on such a higher level, because he can literally go Christmas Day and work out outside and actually throw and not run into a wall, right? Where we have to be like indoor and things of that nature. It's eye-opening when some of these parents really kind of like broaden their horizons and look at it. And it's a wow moment a lot of times. And the kids don't realize it either. Like they just think it is what it is. Like I'm the best player here. And then you go and like, well, dude, he's been doing this. They do this. This is what it is, right? It's why you see some of the top college programs in the country will always be in Florida, irregardless of their location. Like, because they would go and recruit those guys over, a Connecticut, a Massachusetts, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's just kind of the way how it is. And they've lived it forever. They don't know any different.
No, it's wild for sure.
100%. And coaches here, I always say like you have to be able to coach, right? It's so seasonal here because we don't have a spring ball and we're limited, that we pack so much into a small window to get it all in. Sometimes I think that trips guys up, and it's hard for them to kind of do that, where you guys can use and plan an entire year schedule of, hey, we're going to have spring ball with these practices. And then like, your pseudo scrimmage at the end of it, where you're actually putting pads on and competing and going after it. It's such a game changer.
We played two other teams. Like we
right.
In January, we played a half against two different teams. Like how lucky is that? And like, for me, I don't even think much about it. I'm like, yep, spring ball, get to play, but compared to other states, like you guys would kill to be able to do something like that.
Oh yeah, I mean the skill. It goes to anything. The more reps you get, right, the better you're going to be in a specific sport, and coupled with all the great stuff that you have with respect to skill-based development down there and speed-based development and all that kind of stuff. It just fosters a good environment if you're willing to do the work to be you could be really the best player you can be. If you're willing to do the work. Do you have a lot of kids? Yeah, do you have a lot of kids that play two sports or three sports at all that are?
Yeah, we've had kids who are playing lacrosse and basketball and all sorts of stuff, track and field. We've got kids who do a lot of different activities. I got my left tackle. This is the best one. My left tackle right now is an incredible bowler, and he's on our bowling team. So this
That's awesome.
Go get it.
He's going to be a national coach. He's going to be a national recruit at left tackle and going to go make a bunch of money to play college football, and is knocking down strikes for our bowling team as well.
That's phenomenal.
Plays the bass.
Love it.
Like, this is a multi-talented kid, but we encourage these kids to go out and do as much as they possibly can in high school and have some fun.
Yeah.
I think that's great, Coach. That's great, because it not only promotes the kid himself, right, and it gives him an aspect into other things, but it obviously, like, to see that guy who's the high talented, high recruit football player doing other sports within the building. Now other guys want to go do other sports, because it promotes other sports within the building too. Because look, you're not getting anything done if you're the single, shareholder. Is this, and it's those guys that like kind of keep it all in-house and don't allow guys to go and spread that football culture to the other sports within the building, I think is always an issue. And I'm kind of like where I'm at now. This is year 2 since we've taken over, and we realized really quick that it wasn't a football problem. It was a athletics problem within the building itself, right? It wasn't just our team dealing with those issues. It was every team dealing those issues. So you kind of got to start there with that type of branding and then kind of trickle down from there. But that's a left tackle. That's a bowler, man. We'll take that all day. That's wild. That's awesome.
Well, at a small school too, especially, that probably allows you to get more players to come play for you, because you can go from sport to sport and be pretty successful. So,
Very
you create
and
that
have the support of the football coach. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes you have those coaches that are selfish and it's like, hey man, you need to be lifting, you need to be in the weight room, you need to be doing that. If that's a coach, and Greg Olson just said it on his podcast, dude, if you have a coach that's telling you to be, that single sport guy, then that's a selfish guy and he's only out for himself, right? Because he's not allowing you to kind of go do those other things to help you be successful across the board.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. What do you like? So, as far as yourself and what do you want the players to come away with from their experience playing? Like, what are some of the grounding things that you want them to come away with from the football program?
Yeah, I mean, I think you talk about like wanting them to be better for having been a part of the program, right? So, like, what that means to me is like, they're gonna learn like all the great lessons that this sport has to offer. I mean, like football to me is the best sport in the world. Like you get to be a part of something that is bigger than yourself, right? First and foremost, you got to learn how to be a great teammate, right? You got to learn how to have relentless work ethic. You got to learn how to overcome adversity. Like obviously these are things that they can learn in any program, but I think like these are lessons that we present every day. We talk about it. We talk about how to overcome adversity. We talk about why things happen. And we talk about real issues in front of the team, like we're a team who's going to be as close as you possibly can be, build that family type environment. And I think that ultimately is going to build a lot of leaders, right? Like we do a really good job of building up the captains and the leaders in our program. And I think like leaders is something that this world needs, and I think a lot of great leaders come out of the football locker room. You know what I mean? I think we do a really good job of just, the coaches lead by example of doing things the right way. And, like we prioritize doing things the right way at any opportunity we can. And if that means sitting somebody down because they're not doing the right thing in the classroom or they're not working hard enough, like we're going to make those difficult decisions that prioritize integrity and character in front of these kids so many times that it's going to be really hard for them to not have those same values in their life.
Yeah, I think that's an important point. I also think it's what's interesting about like your coaching background, and it doesn't seem like you got ingrained with a lot of things that you really had to like try to think differently about. It looks like you really have been able to kind of pick and choose the things that you think can help you as a coach over time, and not bog down by this coach had this kind of philosophy or that kind of philosophy. And I think it's pretty interesting how you're starting to put those things together. It's at
such a young age.
Yeah, such a young age. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I find that really fascinating how you've been able to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a couple things in terms of what I think has made me have a little bit of success, and to address that mentality is like I always want to have a growth mindset, right? Like I always want to be learning, and like I've seen an example of like coaches, like in terms of what makes a successful coach and what makes an unsuccessful coach. I think a lot of times comes down to how much is that willing to admit I'm like, hey, this is what I know, this is what I don't know. You know what I mean? Like that. Yeah. And that second piece is the one that usually gets in the way, right? Like to me, like that barrier to learning is thinking you know it all, right? And so if you think you know all there is to know, like you're never going to get better, right? So I always try and be the opposite of that. I'm the first one to admit when I don't know something. I'm the first one to admit when I am wrong on something. Like I just want to always be growing, right? And then I think to speak to your point is like I wasn't around a lot of other people growing up my coaching journey. You know what I mean? Like it's not like, oh, I cut my teeth under him. Like no, I started as an 8-minute football coach when I was 21 years old. Like I had to learn, in my opinion, the hard way. Like I didn't get to lean on somebody else's experience, right? So I was always just had to be curious and asking people questions and studying on the internet and going to clinics. I mean, I remember going to these coaching clinics with my best friend at like 19 years old. Like we're not even old enough to go to the coaches social at the end of the clinic, but we're there to learn. Like I just had to pull knowledge from anywhere. But I think the benefits to that as well, like coach, like you said, it's like you don't get caught up in saying, oh, that's how we've always done things. Because like, that didn't exist to me, So I think that there's a benefit and there's a minus to it, So yeah.
No, really great stuff. I can't thank you enough for coming on. Really, really awesome. You have a great outlook on not just coaching, but how to develop a program. I think you got a unique background that all works together in a pretty cool way. So like you're not limited to like, hey, this is how I did it, or this is how my coach did it, or like you picked up pieces from the different things that you've done along the way, and you're constantly doing that to continue to learn and going from 8-man to from flag to 8-man to 11-man to from coaching semi-pro to learning the sprint,
using it all.
It's cool, and I think that's part of that's the beauty of, I think, what football is rapidly becoming more and more is guys being willing to experiment. You know what I mean? Like
take risks.
We can't, as coaches. Well, there are guys that don't want to take risks. That's okay too, right? Like there are guys
because right.
But I think part of the fun, obviously in football, you still have to have structure and how you go about things and all that kind of. But that's any sport, right? So, but I think the cool thing about football is your mind is your only limitation to what you could put together. Like you're only limiting yourself and what you can get your other coaches and players to be able to do. It's only limited by your mind and their minds, you know what I mean? And if you could keep them expanding as to what they want to do within the structure of your system, it really allows for cool opportunities. And I think that's what we're seeing with like the advent of technology. Huddle was the first, I mean, for me, at least, going back many, many years, like you were limited a little bit by VHS and how much you could cut up and how much you could cut up from DVDs, right? But as Huddle became a thing, and now all the, obviously, from GPS systems to timing systems to you name it, it's endless, right? And all of those things figure out which tools work best, Go Route. I use, Derek brought up Go Route to me with like, he's like, maybe you might, because he knows that like I try to as much as I can, because now I don't coach high school anymore. I coach my son's 10-year-old team, and as much as I could be innovative with that group, I try to. So, and it keeps it fun for them as well, right? Because I look over at other guys and I just see them, they're in double tight and they're few backs and wins and losses may not be any different. Like we may win as many and they may win as many as we do or whatever. But I know my kids are having a whole lot of fun too at the same time doing it. So, and I think that's part of it. But yeah, I love that you're doing those kind of things. And like when Derek introduced the Go Route to me and said, hey, you might want to do it, like it changed. I wish people ran more stuff in youth football defensively, so I could actually give it to my coaches on the defensive side for scout. But since most people run one or two, basically blitz the A's or blitz the outside. I mean, it's pretty much what they're doing. There's not. But on my for my defensive group and on my offensive scout team, it's amazing because we're able to do periods where we're like, okay, we're going to run 8 plays in this period. You know how long 8 plays takes us to run in with Go Route? 4 minutes, 5 minutes, probably less, to be honest, because there's still 3 minutes having 10-year-olds like, this is what a bunch is. You kind of they're looking at it. You know what I mean? But otherwise, it probably would take us 2.5 minutes to run it, and it's changed the way we do practice. So those kind of things I think are so cool. I think you're incorporating a lot of that stuff. I think keep incorporating that within what you're most comfortable doing, because it'll only continue to make you a better coach. And I'm 51 years old, and I try to. I'm always been that way, and I think it makes football a lot fun for you. Makes it more fun for the kids. At the same time that you're winning, right? So you could show them, hey, it's not just me, just like being crazy. It's like we're having fun with it. And, and to me, the college coach that signifies that most is like Lane Kiffin, right? Yeah. He was like that early on, but not until he got a little bit of help from the structure of Nick Saban. Now he can incorporate how much fun he has with the game with having a great structure and understanding how important structure is. And now the world's your oyster, right? The better players you can get, the more fun you can have. You know what I mean? So,
no doubt. But it's balancing that, it's balancing that structure and discipline of football and finding a way to make it fun, and I think that that's the thing that a lot of people fail to do. And that's something that we've definitely been able to capture at SBC is just make it fun, man. Like these kids, you only get high school football once. Like you hear these guys who go on to the next level, they talk about some of their favorite times of all time is playing for their high school, So like, to me, we got to do a better job just in general of high school coaches of like, don't forget that. Don't lose sight of this. It's a game at the end of the day. Like we're going to get after it. We're going to work our butts off. There's going to be a lot of structure. We're going to learn discipline and hard work, but also make it fun. We definitely love that stuff.
And I think when you do that, like you could be as intense as you want to be and demanding as you want to be when they realize that they have a little bit of that they're going to be able to get some of what they would hope to get out of football too. Right. So it becomes that balance and I feel like you could push them even harder, and I think that that's the really cool thing because they realize at the end of the day, like coach understands when to make it fun, when to drive us as hard as we need to be driven, and when to demand as much as we need to be demanded of. And I think I think you got a really nice mix of, at least from interviewing you. Yeah. You really got a nice mix of that, and I wish you the best of luck for the rest of the year. Hopefully, it keeps rolling, and keep posting the stuff. I mean, like, haters are gonna hate, okay, and that's never gonna change. So whether they do it, they hate publicly or they hate privately, they're still hating. So
I mean, you ain't doing it right until you got a couple haters. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
100%, buddy. That's exact, Jesse. That's a great. You're on it, man. You're on something as a young guy. Look, you got the drive, right? You've done this kind of before. You can just continue to roll with it. I'm excited to see where you program, obviously, and whatnot. If there's anything we can do for you, please let us know. Good luck the rest of the way, man, and we'll be following. You got 2 fans here, so keep up the good work, man.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate all that you do, and thanks for having me on.
Have a great day, Jesse.
Take care, bud.
Right. See ya.
That was great stuff, man.
That locker room alone will get you 10 kids.
Oh yeah, now that he's promoting that, I mean the energy from that locker room, dude, is like. I had it up before I pulled it down.
There's a first, and like, so obviously, I heard him on Tony's podcast talking about sprint base, whatever, and then hearing his path in terms of being a really, really young guy willing to coach anything. Like the thing that flipped the switch for me too was him actually playing in high school. Didn't even play 11-man. You know what I'm saying? Like
right.
His whole journey is so different. And again, using the sprint-based football stuff, right? Like for a smaller school as he builds and grows, right? Taking those bits and pieces, the willingness to go and find something. How do I get better? Hey, this is something. Let me look at this, right? Like that aspect as such a young coach to kind of understand that mindset and that world. Like, look, we know some young guys that are really, really smart, but have no idea how to build a program. And he's already done it at another place. And now he's here and it looks like they've given him the keys to the Corvette. Like, hey man, you just take what it is and go, in an area like St. Petersburg where, look, I'm sure there's tons of talent that can kind of walk there. And with the way the transfer stuff works in Florida, there are not many limitations in terms of, how you can get to a place from a place as long as the means to get you there can work, right? Which I'm sure he has in place and those types of things. Like it's just awesome to see. And look, willing to roll the dice against those big dogs down there. You know what I'm saying? Like as he builds and gets more comfortable with the roster and those types of things. And in that entire conversation, we didn't talk X's and O's at one point, at any point. You know? So it just goes to show you, you know, where the focus is right now within his program. He's obviously doing something right schematically since he's freaking only giving up at 4 points a game, you know? Look, you can see he's the first to tell you about who he's playing right now, right? And I'm sure that has something to do it. But he's not willing to just beat up on those teams that maybe are of lesser talent than he has right now. Like he wants to go and get to that bigger level. And some of the teams he's played at the other places, you know, like a Venice and things of that nature that we know are like perennial smaller Florida powers. He's willing to roll it up and go, which is awesome.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. It's a difference maker. I love what he's doing. I like, listen, I said this before. The coolest thing about like doing this podcast is like it makes me a better coach. You know what I mean? Like it makes me a lot better coach because I just say like if I hear something that I think like I can do,
you're like, right? Like, let me try that. Yeah.
I tried the changing speed yesterday, you know, right within like our warm up, you know, part of it, and incorporated some more of the just doing these plays and like and going full speed at it, like literally going full speed at it, like running to the end zone.
Like, hey, let's do the full go, all go.
10 yards,
also too, like
10 yards, but full.
And I was even kind of looking at it, right? And I was even kind of looking at like, you know, some of the things yesterday, like when we were doing some ROA, right? Some routes on air about like, hey man, like if we're running like, okay, I see it, you know, the same plays in the script a couple times. All right, well, hey, backside right now, like you don't like shut it down. Front side, you're going. You know what I'm saying? And then the next time we run it through, all right, backside, now you go, front side, you shut down. To kind of save them a little, you know what I mean? Like, especially at this point in the season, like just little things like that, like tweaking some things within, you know, the structure of practice where I can kind of handle that, you know, where it's not coming from the top, you know, kind of do some of those types of things. Like it's really awesome to kind of I just enjoy talking to other guys from different places and the programs and how they structure things and do things and you know kind of or just how like, you know, that's from state to state things are different in terms of, hey, we do it this way because of this, or, you know, you can always pick up something from it. I think for both of us too, being the way we are, you know, lifelong learners and always willing to like, you know, or risk takers or try things and not set in those ways. You know, as a younger coach, yeah, I would have looked at some of this stuff and been like, dude, there's no way I'll ever do, you know, any of that, or I'm not going to try that. But, you know, you take something from everything and you kind of roll with it, you know, being in it a couple, you know, for a longer period of time now. Like, it's not about me. It's not about the way I want to do things. It's what puts the kids in the best position to be successful. And I think it's a trial and error process, and every team is different and every kid is different. But the more knowledge we have, the more opportunity you have to find something that'll click and that'll work and that'll put that kid in an optimal position.
There's no doubt, and I think that's continuing to put them in that optimal position, figuring out ways to get them to be better from that standpoint. It's a good thing, and all these different things play into it. It's like I've seen like kids transform, and you know the hardest part is I guess from a parent standpoint is it probably takes longest for them to see it, because they're not in it. And they're just, if they're watching practice, let's say, they don't know the difference between one practice to the next. You know what I'm saying? It just looks like a bunch of people running around or not running around, right? So they may not know the difference of it. The kids know the difference of it. And that's the thing that as coaches, we have to continue to help educate parents on it. Because even I like as much as I know all of my parents, because we're not just we're peers as well as obviously coaching them, right? Which is different than high school, where you're not peers with your parents, right? But even there, like the older people have a harder time seeing new things or seeing it and
Of
understanding it.
course.
And the only results they'll know is my kid playing better or not? And that's there's a part of that happens. Obviously, that has to happen, right? But they don't necessarily know why. So that's the biggest part that has to continue to be educated. Like when I was young, I always tried to do a really good job of that. But I remember that, as a young coach, like there were parents that definitely didn't understand it. You know what I mean?
Oh, 100%.
And I'm sure you guys deal with that too at the high school level. Like you guys could come
And I
up
think
with
it's also, of course, like, and that's literally a conversation, right? Like you kind of look at it too. And I always, definitely, as I've been in this longer and longer, look at it now. No matter what decision you make, there's going to be a group of people that support you. There's going to be a group of people that don't. And then there's going to be a middle group that really doesn't give a shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's kind of just what it is, right? Like it is what it is. You know what I mean? They're just happy they're soldiers. Right. They're just like, hey, great. You know what I mean? Like, oh, okay. And then there's just some people that like, they literally, I'm not saying overstep their boundaries, but they overstep and it's like, dude, that's not your place. Right. But that happens with anything. Right. And it's a matter of, how do you appeal to the masses? As long as I feel I can put my head on my pillow at night, knowing I did everything possible to put my kids in the best situation to be successful and off the field. Like, I don't need to appease anybody other than that, right? Like my coaching staff is all in, right? The kids are happy and they're supportive and they're healthy and they're doing things to trend forward, right? That's what it's all about. And obviously, you have to deal with people above you and administrators and things of that nature. But if my bosses are good with what I'm doing and my actions speak for themselves, then I don't really need to do much more than that. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a lot more to it. There's a lot more to life than this game. And I think we're up in it so much because it's all we're hyper focused on at all times, right? But at the end of it, like this is a game and it's high school football, right? This isn't college. This isn't the pros. Like majority of these kids are doing this because it's fun and it's the last time they'll ever get to do this sport. So you know what? You have to make it enjoyable. It's your job. If it's not, then that's on you and you're going to have an unhappy team, right? Not every one of these guys puts a helmet on every day with the mentality of like, hey, I'm going to play college football or I want to do something after this. Like they're doing this because it's a game. They can hang out with their friends and go out there and enjoy it. And that's part of it, man. And sometimes we get so wrapped up in the wins and the losses and the quote unquote, the grind and everything that goes into it. Like, remember, like they're kids too, right? Like they're kids and they make mistakes and they're young, they're dumb. And it's just kind of like, it is what it is, man. Like sometimes you got to throw your hands up and you're like, you did what? Or you said what? It's like, come on, man. Like, but you got to teach them that they're in this protective bubble right now of school. Isn't really the real world. You know what I'm saying? But like some of those mistakes, if you make them in the real world, dude, have real consequences. You know what I'm saying? Like detention is a consequence, but what is it? It's not going to jail or it's not, some of these other things where your actions could be really, really negative, have a really negative effect on your life, man. So, kind of almost screw up so you can hopefully learn the lesson with a lesser sentence, you know what I'm saying? And then go from there. Cause you don't want to be, I don't want to be the coach that has to, being out there, like looking at kids that used to play for me and they're in really bad situations. Like I would take that personal, but it's a game at the end of the day, man. Let them enjoy it. Let them have some fun, think of yourself. I think we're so from it too. We forget what it was like to be them. And you know what I'm saying? To be in that high school world of, man, you're a football player, right? Like you're the guy and everything's all the eyes are on you. What we used to love for them is pressure, right? And that's sometimes very uncomfortable for kids who are still trying to figure out who they are as a person.
But pressure, yeah. I mean, I guess pressure is always is always something that you have to overcome because, like, I mean, I think about
I
it
loved it.
football. I loved it too. I think
I
about
loved
it
it.
like I loved the part that I was right before it was about to start. I didn't know it was going to happen. I mean, I know
Yeah,
it sounds
the
crazy.
anticipation. And I also used to. I took the
am I going to be tough today? Am I not going to be tough today? Like you know you are, but like you know what I'm saying, like
I knew I was going to be tough because if I wasn't, my dad was going to whoop my ass when I came off. And I don't know if I was driven by, I don't want to say fear, that's the wrong thing, but disappointment. I didn't want to disappoint him, my mom, my family, because as a small town kid, everybody knew who you were. Everybody knew who your dad was. You know what I'm saying? I had a really strong, I didn't want to disappoint, like, the school I played for, man. Like, that was so big. That gold helmet, that Butler High School, you're a Bulldog. Like, dude, you do things a certain way.
Right.
Like, I didn't want any of those, like, alumni guys telling me, like, you couldn't have played on our teams. Like, dude, that's why I loved Thanksgiving Day when they would all like, I felt like I had to overperform to, like, get there. What is it? Like, so for them to check a box and be like, you know what, man, like, you could have rocked with us or whatever it was. And I don't know if a lot of guys feel that, but I know I did.
It used to bother me if someone said I wasn't the greatest ever. Like I thought I was I always thought I was the greatest ever, and they'd be like, I don't know if you're as good as you. And they used to piss me off.
I would have loved to hear that. I always got that. Well, you could.
There was one other running back before me, and I was friends with his brother until he moved to Florida. The family moved to Florida when but I grew up with his brother who was a year older than me. Then they moved to Florida. And
a little different too, because I think the position you played too, like running back, man, like you always knew you were going to get off. For me, it was like I might get it, but you know what I mean. Which is why
different. That's why I was not considered the greatest ever
because your team wasn't
as good, and that used to bother me a lot when I was in high school, at least.
And obviously, like you look at
am I the reason we're not a great team?
And somebody along the way should have told you, like, no, it's not. It's because you're one and you're doing your best, and it's no offense to the other guys around you, but this is what it is. Whereas for me, it was like, hey man, you need to do everything in power to win. But everybody else around you has to do their part too, right? And then ultimately together for us, it's we're winning a state title, right? It doesn't matter how many touchdowns you have or how many interceptions. There was always and I don't. It's a thing as in terms of like your team. What did your team do? It's not so big individually. Butler, or it never was for us. We knew the names of the guys that had all the records and who were really good, but it was about a winning culture, and it was different for me because we had lost games when I first got there, right? Like it was the worst record ever when I came in as a freshman, and I didn't want to be put on the like, hey, your Butler team wasn't good. Like that was a big thing for me, man. Like I was so like, dude, I don't want to go with dude, you guys lost this or you guys just no, man. Like I wanted to, we needed to get where we needed to go. And I mean, look, we never had a state title, but every year we went a different playoffs. And, the only thing I have is a share of a conference title my senior year. Thank God for a win on Thanksgiving Day, which gave us like a tri-title with us, Montville, Caldwell. We're all Northern Hills Conference Division champs. Like, so I go into the high school now and there's a banner on the wall with a little football that says 03. And it's like, dude, that was my team. And that's a really good feeling. I would have liked our own state championship banner. just didn't work that way, but that was big, the team aspect. And then you look at where I played in college, like Montclair State was a team-based thing, man, with tradition. And, these are really good teams. Like there's good individuals, but I wanted to go to like a winning program. You know what I'm saying? That was a big factor in deciding what college I chose too, was like, dude, I want to go to someplace that wins. I don't want to go to someplace, isn't that. Even when I chose Sacred Heart, they had just won, the mid-major national championship 2 years earlier. You know what I'm saying? So there was winning there. But that was a big factor. I was a team guy, dude. Like cliche as it is, like I was a team guy. As long as we won, dude, I was good. I was pissed if my name wasn't in the paper, but as long as we won, we were good. I was never going to voice that and be like, oh, I'm pouty because I didn't have 2 tutties. Like, if we won, bro, I was happy as hell. Like, let's go.
Of course. Well, winning was, I was always a great team guy. I just always thought in at least high school that I compared myself, with other guys. Like, okay,
which I think is a natural thing, dude. Like, I think we do that irregardless, right? Like, I compare to whoever played the position before I did, right? And look, you and I both would look at the paper, right? Preseason, top 10 running backs in Bergen County, right? Or who's the top defensive player in Morris County, right? I used to get pissed when my name wouldn't be, or hey, rivals top 25 in New Jersey. And like, who are you? From where? Butler? Like, no, dude. Brian Toll, Mike Teal, Liverpool, right? Brian Cushing, like, dude, we're talking NFL guys.
I might have averaged, although I might have been a quarterback instead of a running back, but
probably had 50 catches for 1,000 and whatever, and then rushed for another 600 something. But I'll tell you what, they would have definitely made you do is you definitely would have played way more defense, buddy.
I played defense in high school. I played all
but they would have made it like
I was a safety
recruited. You would have got like, you know what I mean? Like it would have been like, hey, defense is your thing, buddy. Because like, look, I can go back to any of those really, really good Butler teams.
Well, group one, I could.
Dude, you would.
It was.
But here's what would have also been really good. Would have been you would have played against bigger programs, right? Like you would have played against Group 2s, Group 3s, and you'd have been in the state playoffs.
Well, back when I was in high school, we did. So BPSL was Passaic Tech, Patterson Catholic. Yep. When it changed,
Senior.
When I first
coaching, right?
After I left Satterbrook as a head coach, a couple years after.
When you went to Riverdale.
That's when it started. They started to maneuver those conferences around. But BPSL, like, I mean, even when I first started coaching, like when we won the league championship, we were 11-1. Our only loss was to, we're 10-1. Our only loss was to, because you played 12 right back then to win it all.
Yes.
So we lost.
That's also when the playoffs were only 4 teams.
No, I'm saying I think it was 8 when I first started coaching.
I meant when you were playing. When you were playing, it was 4. I remember that.
So that was a weird pressure too. That was a weird pressure. So if you lost, it was a weird thing back then. I think sometimes
if we lost, we were gonna have to win a game against somebody that we weren't supposed to win, who was bigger and had a lot of PowerPoints because boom, that one win.
Have hope. So back then, if you lost 2 games early, that was a weird thing about football. Yeah, it was I think it's good what they've done now.
Like you look at, but even like you look at college football, right? And some of these teams know if we lose 2 games, it's over, right? Like we're done. We're not making the playoffs. We're not.
It makes you a worse team than you really are.
You're not fighting for anything. What are you fighting to be in the Liberty Bowl?
You're just playing.
Absolutely.
In high school, think about it, in high school, you're kind of, like any team COVID year, for example, we're just playing. We were just playing that year. Like we really were, like, what were you fighting for per se? Like, there wasn't really like, we got cut off of games. We didn't get the fit. Like, it was kind of weird, right? That's what it was back in the old days. If you lost a couple of games, you would be like, well, okay, we're just going to have the best season you can, and you're playing with your buddies. Meanwhile, if you were a driven guy, like if you were and you were out of the playoffs, but let's say you were a driven kid that wanted to be something beyond that, the coaches had a tougher motivation job if you already were X'd out of the playoffs pretty early. Let's say you were 2-2.
Oh my God. Dude, now you're like sitting
in
there and you're trying to motivate on a daily basis for, like, you know, guys that, what's the motivation other than that, right? Like, it's not, hey, I need to put together good tape to go to college, because that's not the majority of your team, right? So it was really and also that was instilled in us automatically as a team. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey man, we just win. We have to go in. Like we've talked about before, guys, when, you know, certain programs or cultures, when you go down 14-0, it's over. For us, it was like, all right, let's settle in and we'll be good.
Right.
You know, that's what I'm dealing with now in this program, man. You got, like, there's certain programs, your Rumsons, right, of the world, that even when it's your old Tapans, even when it's not good, it's still okay. Like, because we expect to win.
We changed old Japan, dude. So it 100%.
They used to never be like that.
They were a middle of the road program done. If you look at his, like, remember we interviewed him. Remember he said that, like, the first couple of years he was terrible, and then
Dave, when we played them in 2000, 2009, 2010, that's when they were coming into their own and were like continuing to this. By the time I played them in 2017 in the finals, when, you know what I mean, at Mount Olive, it was like, dude, this is a machine, right? And we're on the tracks. Gonna do, you know what I'm saying? Like, your Mountain Lakes of the world, right? Like, you can name programs that are just that winning mentality.
You know what put them over the edge? This is what put him over the edge, in my opinion. So he was good. He was making the playoffs. Obviously, two things happened at the same time. One, the Fuller brothers came in. Okay. 100%. That's a huge, now you were like, we're pretty good, but now you're like, we can really win it with this guy, right?
Right. Now we got a dude. Like, now we got a dude.
Right. And there was two of them. So then it was like back to back.
It was like, hey, when this one leaves, right, and goes to UCLA, like, here comes the other one. And I remember that year, I'm like, dude, what do we do? Like, that's the wrong roster. Like, he's not on the roster anymore. He's at UCLA. And they're like, no, it's his brother and he's better. And I'm like, oh. Dude, are you serious? Like, oh my God. You're like, great.
It was like my father was always like coaching track. He was like, they're like, well, what was the greatest run you ever had? Well, until we had that group with Pomo, the greatest run we had was literally when me and my brother were in high school together. Like, you had two guys that,
and your brother was what, a freshman when you were?
He's 1 year behind me. So
oh my God, I didn't know you guys were that close. I thought there was more of a gap. So the two of you, like, just
he was a distance runner and I was hurdler sprinter.
Right.
And
he got those points. You got
my friends were all the sprinter dudes. His kind of, you know, those kind of smart, nerdy, his friends were
into the woods for fun, bro. Running into the woods for
fun.
You
needed both in track, right? So all the football players were out. All those guys were out, right? And that's why I always thought our football program should have been better. Like, it was the same group of kids that my father would then take that would be middle of the road or not that good, and we'd go and crush everybody. We'd have the fastest guy in 100, the fastest guy in the 200, the high hurdles, every event we would dominate. The shot put, we would dominate, and then like our football coaches couldn't figure out how to utilize those kids. I couldn't understand. Like, you would have seen. Listen, there were kids on our team, even my senior year, which team was terrible. There were like 5 great athletes. We had 180-foot javelin.
And at a group 1, if you have 3, you should win. Period. Like, you had 5.
In my senior year, the kid who was the sectional champ in the javelin, he was 6'3", 185 pounds. Okay, myself, we had the kid who was the my one lineman was the region wrestling champ. Okay, he wasn't even a track kid. He was the regional wrestling champ. The other lineman was only a fresh, maybe he was a sophomore. Yeah, it might have been a sophomore at the time. He ended up being the state champ in the shot put and discus. Okay, they didn't know how to teach him how to block properly. He was a great athlete for a big kid. And then we had the 100, 200 meter champ. Literally the 100, 200 meter champ at receiver. They never got him the ball. Never got him the ball. I couldn't believe it. Like, he caught one pass, maybe like 3 passes the whole year. They never got him the ball. I couldn't understand it. Now, maybe they couldn't have. Like,
I always thought that was really great as to how our coaches, and again, I've referenced it a million times. Like, dude, I was coached by really great coaches. And David, at a group 1, you have to be really good at that stuff. And they squeezed every bit of talent out of every individual we had on our team in whatever they were good at, right? So I told you, we're a spread offense, chucking it all around. And I never played. I had 2 backs. That one was over 1,000. The other was 5 something at a group 1. Like, I had, it was, hey, Dave, it was, and look, even our worst receiver had 20 something catches. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was, they just utilized guys in ways that were really smart. And obviously I didn't know anything different, right? Because people used to be, man, you should touch the ball more. You should do this more. Well, obviously, no, I don't. We're winning. Why would I be like, why does that matter?
You know what Satterbrook was used to that Butler wasn't? Like, so Satterbrook at one time, this is history, but in the 70s, Satterbrook was a large group 2, okay? And they used to have a plethora of, and if you kind of look back at the history, 70s, they were up and down, but they were really powerful to like the mid-80s until they went to a group 1. But what happened was most of the coaches, obviously especially back then, all the gym guys, gym teachers and coaches were there from when it was bigger, yep. Right? So they had a plethora of linemen. They had a plethora
and they didn't, when all of that went away, they didn't really know what to do.
They kind of still were like, let's just give our biggest, studliest guy the ball, which they did, which was great for me, I guess. But like it didn't make the others. There was a couple other studs. It didn't make the others.
But it didn't make them any better because they only knew how to work with, like it's the same thing.
They only knew how to run a one-trick pony system. You know what I mean?
Correct.
So
correct.
We tweaked well. You guys made that.
We adapted the system to what we had because look, those first teams that won had 4 guys at receivers that were the 4x1 team, and they were burners, right? And go. And then my group came along, and dude, we were pass catchers, man. We could find the open grass and go and catch the ball, and that's what they tweaked the offense to be able to do those things. Those teams earlier than me had great quarterbacks that, went to Princeton and Fordham. And I had a quarterback that, now he's a dealer in Vegas. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you had said this kid's the quarterback, people were like, wait, what?
I think
tweak the system.
I think that's really important. I think, look, if you don't have any other studs, you got to ride one guy. I get it. You know what I mean? But I think even if you could spread it around, even if the other guys get a touch or 2, like, you know what I'm saying?
Just keep the defense honest. Like, if I can key on only 2 guys getting the
there. Yep.
And the other thing they preached to, man, was, look, at the end of the day, all of you can give us effort, and you can, and you're like, physicality, like we like defense, dude. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, even though we were known as an offensive like juggernaut of a whatever, because by reputation, dude, defense was what was preached at Butler no matter what. Like, doesn't matter win, lose, draw, that other team leaves when those guys hit, or those guys are physical, or those guys fly around to the ball, because they knew, talent irregardless, if we just like did what we did and cared and had and all those things, we could win games, because that's what it was. So they preached that to us and built us almost like they played mind games with us. You know what I'm saying? Got us to they tricked us into believing we were way better than we were.
That's boring.
Dude, it's like, hey, like, and they made us aware, like, dude, you guys are, slow, you're little, but you know what? You guys care and you have heart and you're this and you're like, they just in a way that was like, all right, like, let's go. Like, we drank the Kool-Aid, man. And that's what it was. And teams, when other coaches would say that to us, like, to me, that was always the most rewarding thing, when a coach from another team would come up to you after a game and be like, hey, man, we keyed on, we spent all time, like, doing whatever, like, you guys work together. And I never remember guys singling out other guys in a negative way, right? Like, the ball, it wasn't like, bro, catch the fucking ball. It was, all right, dude, we're good, let's go next, I got you, right? Like, supportive of each other, even though we didn't have to be the best friends off the field,
right?
Even though a lot of us were, just because it's such a small town that, like, that's your crew. But it was never like that. Like, when we all put the helmet on and went to practice, like, we were boys, you know what I'm saying? Like, we supported each other. That whole team, as cliche as people said, like, it's so important, because even in my coaching, the best teams I've been around that have had the most success were, like, cool with each other. Like, they were boys, right? Like, not, hey, let's go hang out off the field, but on the field, you were like, man, these guys are a really tight-knit group. Right? They never, you're not talking shit to each other. If you want others to do good, right? It's not like, well, how come he scored the touchdown? I should have got the. Nobody cares, dude. We scored. We won. Like, that was a different type of, the team makeup thing, which it's hard now, Dave, right? Because with all such the individual stuff, especially in college, people look, high college football, it's the moon. Right? People don't understand how different it is in college. Irregardless of how tight-knit your group is in college, it's not your high school boys. It's not that team, the kids you grew up with and all that shit. High school football is its own entity. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just different. When you go to college, it's not like that. Like, it is not. Everybody's out there to just do their thing, and maybe you're boys with it. You know what I mean? It's just, go ahead.
College is the guy in your group, or is a group, usually a lot of times the guys that you're good friends with, but you're actually competing with them too.
Dude, you want that guy to roll his ankle so you get a shot.
You want to be the guy.
That's what it is, dude. You're like, hey, are you going to go this week? Right. Situation. You're trying to beat that guy out. And at the same time, you're hosting recruits with the in the back of your mind is like, man, guys, like, coach wants this guy to come replace me, right? But that's where I think a competitive thing matters, right? And it's like, hey, dude, I want you to come here and take my position because it makes us better, right?
Yeah.
Even with that, like, I know you ain't beating me out. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's your mentality. But you're
I wonder now with the transfer portal.
What is that like, dude? I mean, think about it. Like,
I'm hosting
this
a
guy's
recruit. I'm like, hey, don't come here.
Oh, coach is really an asshole. And guess what? He's going to leave in 2 years. So, like, dude, I don't know. To me, I took pride in that, right? Like, when I was at Sacred Heart and we're hosting guys. Dude,
I was great. I was the best coach you could get.
Me too. I never did get a guy. Dude, I'm like, coach. And look, and that's when too, like, coaches would put certain guys with you, knowing, hey, you're the best guy to get this guy to come here. Make sure we would, hey, here's an extra 20, right? Like, here's your $20 for food, but, like, here's an extra 20. Make sure you take care of him. We need this guy. And to me, that was a challenge too, to be like, coach, I got you, dude. Like, this kid's coming here. Like, I'm going to take him to a party. I'm going to find him a pretty girl, and we're good. Like, he's going to come here. I will make sure he's not too hungover at breakfast tomorrow morning. Right. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, look, I remember
I'm not going to say it's definitely not hard to find that.
Dude, Sacred Heart, it was, so this is a funny story.
Sacred Heart ain't hard to find it either, probably.
But this is a hilarious story. So I'm a freshman, right? Here comes a recruit. He's a quarterback. He's from Cresskill, right? My senior year of high school, we played Cresskill first round. This kid's the quarterback. I pick sixed him for a 100-yard touchdown. to basically swing the game and end it. And then I hosted him at Sacred Heart. And the first is, dude, you're the only pick six I ever threw. And I'm like, buddy, you're coming here. Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, dude, you're coming. Like, but it was so funny. Cool. Oh, dude. And my coach is like, don't bring it up. Like, don't talk about it because he's not gonna, once he realizes, like, puts it all together, like, he ain't gonna come here. Don't talk shit to him. Don't be that dude. I'm like, oh no, man. It was a bad read, or, don't worry about, like, I'm trying to sugarcoat it. And my buddy, like, oh, no, dude, look, we got the tape right here. Like, look, here's the DVD. Here's the play you threw the pick six on to Derek. I'm like, dude, can we just get this kid to come here so that we don't, whatever, like, stop lighting him up. But that was really funny. He ended up going there and having a career as a QB. But, dude, it's so funny. That's really hard. And I don't know. I don't know if it's the same now, right, with the NIL and all that kind of stuff. Because, look, man, like, I don't know. Like, you remember that that linebacker, right? Or my DB room, like, we were competing, but we were rooting for each other too, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, right. We knew there was a process to it, right? Like, hey, I'm only a freshman. I'm not going to play safety yet. Like, I'm just going to go do whatever I can on specials. Dude, like, you go and dominate this. And the better I am on specials, now you don't have to play them. So you can be better as a safety because you're fresher. Or what? That was the mindset, knowing in 2 years, dude, when you graduate, now I'll be you. Right? Like, but I don't know if guys think like that, man. I think it's more of like, how come he's making this money? And why am I not making this money? Or, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if that's still the same, because obviously you're so removed from it. Yeah, but I don't know. To me, that was the part of it, man. That's what I think I missed the most. Yes, do I miss returning punts and, rolling down and tackling a stretch or a toss? Like, I miss that part, but I miss the locker room, dude, of, like, having those relationships with some of those guys and, like, laugh and be like, dude, like, why are you wearing those cleats? You know what I mean? Or just funny shit like that, like within the locker room, busting, going back and forth, and then going out on the field. That's the best part. Be like, dude, remember what, dude, I got you on one-on-ones. You know what I'm saying? Or look, the best example would be like, you fight a guy in practice, like you're competing, like you're fired, especially in college when it's offense, defense. Like, I mean, look, you've seen Jeremy Mercer, who's a Mid-South kid, was the tight end every single day in practice, and then would get in the locker room and be like, yo, good practice today. Like, you don't hold grudges. And now look, every time I see him when his kid's playing in our flag league, it's like, what's up, brother? Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's the stuff these guys might they might hate their teammates. Like,
some places, maybe.
Like, I don't know. I don't know if that's a bad culture, or I don't know if coaches are just so, like, pressured to win that stuff, like, they don't even give a shit. Like, dude, I don't care if you hate each other as long as we win games. I'm sure guys are different or whatever. And I'm sure it's where you are and all that other kind of stuff, but it's just more of a business-like mentality, dude. That's why you look at, like, the Giants, and I'm so intrigued by the Giants. You got, like, a Jameis Winston, who's, like, he's the third-string QB. He won a Heisman, and he's the most happy-go-lucky locker room type of person, at least in the public eye, right? Like, public, yeah. But you know what I mean? Like, or those guys,
the backside of his career.
Think about it. Think about the Giants defense, right? You have Brian Burns, Thibodeau, what's his name, who just came from Penn State. Like, you have some big guys, right? Like, and they look like they're a tight-knit group of, like, hey, man, you got the sack. Awesome, right? Like, I'll take the double team so you can go make plays. Or I don't know. Look at those Giant teams that won Super Bowls with, like, OC, Justin Tuck, Michael Strahan. Like, it just looked like they were boys, right? Like, I don't know. That, to me, I think those are the teams that win the most, are guys that are, like, willing to or want everybody to be good. Like, hey, man, let's get Gronk his 10th catch so we can get, $100,000 bonus. Like, dude, all right, I'll throw it to him. Like, I don't know. That's just team shit.
Yeah. I think I think that will part with college will remain to be.
That got me excited. Hey, he got an interception. Nice job, dude. Like, yeah, that helps you start for another week. I'm coming, but like, this is what it is. I don't know. I think the team aspect of it it's why I kind of love sports, dude. Like, it's a team thing.
Oh yeah.
If I didn't like the team thing, I'd have wrestled or been a swimmer or golf, like something where it's all on me, you know? I don't know because I wasn't a track athlete, but I'm sure you're looking at you wanting to win your race, but like as long as you win your 100, who gives a shit if we came in third as a team? Like I don't know what that mindset is.
My father did a great job of making that a team thing. Plus, relays were fun. I used to love relays.
Oh, dude, those are so cool to me. I think it's wild that your dad never coached football.
He did. When he first came to Saddlebrook, he coached football. So I don't know if it was 1 or 2 years, but he coached football. And then they then I don't know if it was his second or third year. I don't know if he coached football 1 or 2 years, but he was a wide receivers DB coach. And then then they had started girls cross country, and they needed someone to be the head coach. And they're like, "Do you want to? You could be the head coach and just run your own thing." And he was like, "Yeah, sure." Okay. So you're talking about a person that played lacrosse. My father played lacrosse in college and was a boxer in the Army. Like, it's not like he ran track. So, but he was like, yeah,
which is crazy too. I mean, look, I'm always intrigued by the guys that didn't play the sport, right? And I think it's why like Coach JB goes off on females coaching. Like, they don't know what it's like to tackle or this or that, or like, look, like there is a world where you don't have to play the sport, especially now where there's access to so much information to learn the game. Yes, I am sure there is something where there's an advantage of somebody who's like coach quarterbacks and look, like I sat in the pocket and took a hit, or I did this.
But it gives you an advantage.
I think a little bit.
Yes, but it's as being able to be ahead of the curve. It's like an apprenticeship to an extent for football, right. But it doesn't. Like, I don't know. I go back and forth on this, right? So,
I mean, think about it. You've coached with assistants
sport
that never played. Now, you right with your youth program, you have a lot of coaches that never played the game or didn't play at the level that we played.
All my coaches played.
But not at the level, obviously, right? Like, even you and I going back and forth. Like, dude, you're a D1 guy and I wasn't a D1 guy, right? But it's like, that's
so you played.
Correct.
I think in a technical sport like track and field, or I think you can, if you're willing to learn the techniques, and there's a lot of sports you can do this. You can learn the techniques in a highly technical sport. I think you could teach it. You may not know what it feels like to do it well.
There. That's how I felt when I coached wrestling.
Okay. There, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like yes, I learned, hey, when they do this, you got to do this. You know what I mean? And right. I could teach that aspect of it. It was like to be out there on the mat in the third period and you need to get 2 points and have to, you know what I mean? Like, do all that shit. I didn't know that shit, but I had a really good coach, right? At Mount Olive. Sean Smythe's still there, right? Like, unbelievable, like over 200 wins, like, the works. And he was like, dude, I can teach you wrestling. Like, you're a coach. You know what it's like to be in pressure situations. It might not be on the mat, right? But you knew what it was like to have to return a punt or to be in that, but I can teach you the wrestling stuff. You mean, I think the technical stuff.
And I think the same thing applies in football. So what do I think of as technical? Positional technique. You could not have played the game. Someone could teach you positional technique, and then you can apply it. I agree with that. Do you know what it feels like to actually hit a certain way? Blah, blah. Like,
correct.
No, you won't know that. I think you could teach a lot of the technical aspects of it. I think quarterbacks have an advantage because they're forced to learn the whole game more than a lot of people. Same way that safeties and middle linebackers are probably forced to learn more of the game because of the aspects of the position they play. So it gives them, I think, an advantage when they go into coaching, at least initially in the early
quarterback.
Yeah, you have a much greater understanding of all the pieces. But
yes,
those that are willing to learn can learn all those things. I think the hardest part for a coach to get good at is the strategy part of the game. And where I would agree with Coach JB that it could be harder for someone who's never played the game to learn the finer parts of strategy. Having said that, if you've been taught strategy a certain way, let's say you were in the wing T, okay, and you were taught only wing T strategy, and now you have to go and become a head coach and maybe have to expand your horizon. It may be more difficult because you were locked into a system. So in today's football, having an open mind to learn things is I think very important, because being a guy that played in a system could limit you if you go to a different system. If you were a flex bone guy and now no one will hire you because you only played in the flex bone, coached in the flex bone, blah 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 blah, flex bone, right?
Here's a great one too. I think guys now, that haven't done that was always a little bit of a factor in terms of, I never played, so I'm not, you know what I mean? I'm not comfortable, whatever. With, I think, the expansion and more focus on the analytics, I think they're now more willing to take those risks, knowing, hey, well, if I go for 2, that's what the sheet says. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that has added a little bit of a, hey man, you could still do this if you didn't. My argument with that is, that's great what that sheet says, but there are times when you're like, you know what, dude, like, I've been in a situation, like, this is what we got to do here, and let's go do it, right? Like,
I couldn't understand why Kirby Smart, who obviously played and was really good, why he didn't just kick the field goal, like,
or even like a situation like, hey man, we ain't moving the ball, and I think we're gonna move the ball, so we got to kick it onside here coming out of the half just to kind of get something, right? Like, now everybody in the world, it's like, dude, don't do that, right? Like, don't do that. But you know what? Like, we're gonna do it.
You know, my hardest thing was last week. We were backed up on the 1 yard line, and we got to, like, we moved out 4 yards or 5 yards. We couldn't get further.
You probably went for it on 4th down, on the minus 30.
Well, no, we were on our own 6. I punted, but I could tell you, you know me, every bit of
I know you.
It was like,
you're like, I want to go for this thing. Like, yes, you're like, dude, somebody in the stands right now is saying, why is this guy not going for it?
I was thinking, I have no balls. I kicked it from my own stick.
My head coach is like, punt it.
I'm like, wow. 15 yards in youth football. That's basically what you're flipping the field.
That's huge. It's like, it's funny because it's like, oh wow, dude, like we're 4th and whatever on a minus 30. I'm like, oh well, if I was coaching, he'd have gone for this thing right here. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, he'd have faked this shit. I said he probably wouldn't even have faked it. He would have just lined up and said, we're running a play. Here we go. I'm like, yeah. Oh, good old days, buddy. Good old days. I'm like, wow, this guy actually. This is fucking great. Like, I'm like, defensive guys, you guys have no idea what it's like going into a game. It's the first quarter, first series of the game. You're on the minus 30, and we're like, we're going for it. Oh my god.
That's right. Let's go for it, man. Let's go for it. Fuck that shit.
I'm like, oh shit, dude. It's awesome. Good stuff. Who you got this week?
Hamilton. It's a good program.
Bounce back week, buddy. Yeah. Bounce back week for you guys. How have they been all week in practice?
Good.
Like nothing ever happened.
Everything what people think is not what happens with kids. Like,
no,
you
think they're going to be down
just to show to them that they had more in the tank after, and everyone's like, "Oh my god!" Yeah, that day those kids are probably exhausted. But on Tuesday, remember in youth football they have off Monday. There is no, you know what I'm saying. They have no.
Listen, it's like an NFL schedule.
It's an NFL schedule, so they come back Tuesday. Those kids are like, and then I explained to them, I'm like, our goal is now, which is so cool. Which is what I do like about youth. Our goal this week is to run everything we do full speed. We don't need to do 9 million plays anymore.
Yep,
let's do, when we do them, full speed. And then if we're blocking somebody and you don't take the guy into the end zone, right? I blow the whistle a second time. So I blow it to end the play, and then I blow it again, and they sprint to the end zone. And you know what? It's like, wow, they're understanding finish, and the end zone is the goal. Look, I would do that stuff even with high school kids, but when you realize something isn't working, and I get the whole I can't remember the guy on I don't change anything I do during the week. I'm like, well, you do.
Yep.
No, I'm saying the guy that we had is a great coach that we had on, that was one of the Tony's guys. He says, I never change anything. What I do is exactly the same. I'm like, I wanted to be like, you change. When you lose a game, you change something the next week. Nobody just
tweak. Maybe tweak is a different word. You know what I mean? You're not going to go and run a whole new offense. You know,
exactly. I don't mean run a whole new offense. I don't do that.
But you're gonna look at it and be like, hey man, we can't do that. You know what I'm saying? You got to do something. That's just part of it.
Emphasize this week.
Same thing with hey, if you were 3-6, giving up 34 a game, they're scoring every 3.8 plays. Hey man, how do we change the defense? Well, we don't need to change anything. I think you need to change something. You know what I'm saying? I think you need to do something.
What does it hurt to change it at that point? It doesn't hurt. It's not going to hurt. You're not going to give up. So if you're giving up 30 and you give up 35, does anyone really give a shit? It looks the same,
100%. So, what is the final? It's look, man, we need to score more. It's dude, we lost 41-40. Maybe we just need to stop somebody. That might work too.
Right now, it was interesting because having watched UConn a lot, and we're going to talk about it on our preview.
They beat Buffalo, so amen.
No, their offense has been good. Their defense has been
the defense can't stop anybody.
Can't stop anyone. But we've been talking. So it's funny because remember we had on your buddy who's the 3 safety guy. So UConn was running a version of the 3 safety defense, and
a lot of guys. If you watch Iowa State, who's the best at it and is actually successful with it.
UConn is
but even
bad.
Dude.
Because they don't have the guys. They don't have the guys.
That's what it comes. You need personnel, dude. You can't run what Army runs without a fullback.
What he articulated, and the mindset that Army has too, I think is the biggest part.
Yes,
the mindset that those kids have. So the thing about the 3 safety defense, and your guy articulated it, because of the thing with the monster, you need to have that monster guy that's a guy, and you need to you need to have certain things, right? So UConn did not.
You're just doing.
UConn does not have the guys who could roll down and play the run and go back and play the pass equally well. But they probably did it because they don't have a lot of specific guys, so they got a lot of decent athletes, so they're probably trying to implement. It was a disaster, in my opinion. And then he tweaked it. So he tweaked it to go a little more 1 high or 2 high than just have 3 guys back there and moving them in and out. Because basically what was happening is guys were running for endless yards against us that defense. So, because you only had 6 guys down there, and nobody has a nose guard anymore that can take up, Vince Wolfert. So
no, that's what I was just gonna say. Nobody has a 2-gapper.
Nobody has that, guys. They're just running for freaking acres on us.
Days. Yeah, they're just out.
So he tweaked it, and they were better this week against Buffalo, but not
it's
where
Buffalo.
It's Buffalo. So
So who do they have this week?
But that's that's the point about defenses too. Is like, what might work with this personnel may not work with this personnel, and that's what a DC has to understand. Or
you can't chuck the ball all over the yard if you don't have guys that can throw it and catch it. You know what I'm saying? Like, this isn't really rocket science.
Right. Or you got to figure out how to manipulate the system better. So UConn's done a nice job offensively because they have a quarterback that can chuck it, and they got a running back that is really good, and they got a really good star receiver, so they could score points. But defensively, they're not there. So I don't know if they will get there. Maybe they just don't have the guys. Who knows? I don't know. I don't know enough. I don't know enough to know other because I'm an observer and I watch what's going on. I'm not.
Right, you don't know the schematics of it or how it's actually breaking down. Right. Somebody was saying that the other day.
I don't know
I think it was Will Compton was talking about like how the because I guess they went to spring ball, so he sat in on the linebacker meetings and all that other kind of stuff. So he was like, "Hey man, I was watching the game and I was telling hey, this guy's got to make that play or this or that." He's like, "But I don't know the schematics of it." And the Lanning's like, "Hey, that wasn't his job." And it's like, "Oh, okay." You know what I mean? Like you don't know how it. You don't know. You don't know. You're just like, "Oh, well, I know if like this, but that might not be right."
If you're giving up 35 points a game, there's probably something that has to be fixed. So it's either A, schematically we have a problem, or B, the players are not just haven't recruited good enough players. Period.
Right, you're just getting out athletes.
College is pretty simple from that standpoint now, right? Because you're
Jimmy's and Joe's, buddy.
It's
Jimmy's and Joe's. So you got to play now, right? You're either good at it or not.
You either didn't bring in good enough guys, or your scheme has a flaw, and that's it.
And figure it out. But
because you're teaching, but like you don't have a lot of them long enough to like implement your style of teaching that might be better than this guy.
Like, okay. Look, he got that part of it. That's great. All right, now the next phase is now he's got to get this. Like, you ain't got time for that, dude. Like, like for me, I just, it's like, hey, he's doing this as okay, now he's a junior. He's got to be here, right? And now look, now as a senior, this is what it is. Like, hey, but that. Like, hey, I know this guy's only going to be a special teamer. Hopefully he can do this, but he's a senior by whatever. But if not, at least I'm going to bring him along like this. You have them. College? Right, good luck, dude. Hey, man, I want you to do – I don't want to do that. Next day, where is he? Oh, he's gone. Oh, okay. Like, he did. Yeah. You're like, oh, wait, he's just scored how many touchdowns for the team he's on the other sideline. Shit. Oh, my bad.
Yeah, right. He was. Oh, that guy was with us last year.
Coach, this guy thinks I can do this, and he paid me. See ya.
Exactly, and that's the thing with the recruiting part is if you're going to run a certain scheme, whatever that is.
It takes time to get. Well, I mean, look, it used to be.
Hey, if you're going to transfer portal, you got to get that specific guy that can do that.
Yeah.
If you don't,
or hey, I can get this guy in the transfer portal to do that, right? Like
you need to get.
We're hey, this is one piece away, but you have to, in order to recruit to what you're doing, that takes time, 2-3 years to get your guys in. Right? If you're a 4-3, you're going to a 3-4. Like, there's just stuff like that matters. It takes time. But, like, at this point, like, how long has Mora been there?
Well, Mora's been there a while. I mean, listen, Mora's winning games. We play shit for the most part. But, you think I'm being funny. Dude, you should hear.
I hear them because I listen to it because I think it's phenomenal. Sometimes I love hopping in the chat and dropping some shit, knowing that it's like
he reads the chat while we're talking. He reads it.
He responds in the chat.
He responds to the chat immediately. He's like JB.
Sometimes he's in ours if he's not hungover or whatever.
So we also have on a guy that up until a couple years ago, was the voice of UConn football. So when I was there, he was the color commentator. So he's our regular guy every week.
Right.
And he's fantastic. I mean, he was the voice of the
Of
UConn
course.
basketball.
Yeah, I mean, he knows
on ESPN
everything.
for many years. So
right.
He doesn't know.
Hey, UConn insider.
Oh, more than that, like part of the community. So he doesn't know
Part of the cult
technique per se, but he knows everything to do with UConn sports and the culture and football and everything. So he's great because he gives insights. But what's so funny is that Steve, because he was a great player. Like
and an offensive lineman, which is a different beast in itself.
He's 6'5". He was a 6'5", 310-pound offensive line. Played in NFL Europe, you know. So he really was a big time player. Although he always says he was glorified cone, but that's what he said. But isn't that funny when guys who are really good, they're like, "Oh, it's just glorified cone," and then you go,
and then you're kind of questioning. You're like, "Is he full of shit? Like, is he?" You look up, he played all. You're like, is he fucking with me? You're like, dude, you had 30 starts. Like, you know what I'm saying? You gave up 2 sacks. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. Guys are like that. I'm like that.
Because there were guys that were quote unquote better athletes that were linemen when he was there. He was just, he was the strong. I mean, the guy benched like.
I was gonna say he's still a dude. Everybody, like, you know, come on.
He's huge. He's a huge guy. But it's funny because he gets really mad, dude. He gets really mad. And
it's kind of funny, dude. It is kind of funny.
And he's like, we should be this, and we should he's like, we should be doing, and he's not wrong. Like he's like, UConn has all the money for this in basketball. Why can't we? You know, he's not wrong.
Like, guys just aren't that, man. They just don't.
Well, UConn has not taken. We talked about last time. What UConn really needs, and maybe if Mora becomes this guy, that'd be great. But what UConn really needs is a coach that is willing to stay there and win for a long time, which is if you look at UConn's history, the winningest coach Edsel was there for, he wasn't that
2 stints.
It wasn't really that long. Like, and then the guy the guy who recruited me, who was there for my first 2 years, like he has the second most wins, right? So, but we're talking about 70-something wins and 60 wins. There's no guy that's coached at UConn that has like 110 wins. You know what I'm saying? That established football as being what it needs to be, right? So,
of course,
that's what you need eventually. A brand, right? You need a guy to stay for a significant amount of time to establish a brand. Once you do that, then everybody else after that can leverage that brand. You know,
right? There's nothing to leverage right now
at Alabama, right? Like,
there's nothing to leverage right now at UConn.
There's nothing. UMass.
Come watch boys men's basketball win titles.
UConn basketball is the way it is. UConn basketball wasn't that way until Jim Calhoun. He was there for 25 years. He built the program. The girls basketball coach Ariema, you know, whenever he leaves, whoever's next already has like a handmade program. You know what I mean? Like you can't
recruits itself, buddy.
Those guys, Bobby Bowden at Florida State, like Joe Paterno at Penn State. Penn State wasn't anything until Joe Paterno, you know.
Right. And then it was sure as hell was like a rebuilding process the best you could. Like, oh shit, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And as bad as that was, but you still had people have pride, like in Penn State, because of
Joe Paterno.
Right. If Joe Paterno was only there for 6-7 years, you know, so. But if you look at the history of
Rutgers,
Hugh Rockman did it at Notre Dame, way back in the 30s. Syracuse was, what's his name? The guy who ended up going to UConn for a while. I can't think of his name. Pasqualoni. Pasqualoni made Syracuse, but before him though, there was a couple guys before him too. That's Ernie Davis, the guy who coached Ernie Davis. So there was that. You need that.
Go ahead.
You need that at every place.
Yes,
Like that's
because you have to have something like that in there.
unless you get Oregon money from Phil Knight that says, I don't care who the coach is, we have more money and we will win because we have more money than everybody else.
Right.
But the truth is, the guy who actually built Oregon before Phil Knight really came in was
Bill Bowerman. What about Bill Bowerman? Well, you're talking football. I mean, like Bowerman built the brand.
But the Bellotti did a great job, and then he became the AD. He's the one that brought in Chip Kelly. He had Joey Harrington and all those guys.
The man
in the 90s. You know what I mean? That established. That really was the beginning. I'm sure they were getting Oregon Nike money at that point too. Probably.
Oh God, yeah, dude. Think about how many shoes those guys got. Crazy.
Anyway, all right, let's go. We could talk forever. We've been talking forever. I'll tomorrow. Next week we're back Tuesday, right? Or not?
Tuesday we are back next week. What do we got next week? Michael. This is a good one, dude. Michael Chase. He is a girls basketball coach. Won a ton of games down south. Hang on, I know he's from like more down south. I'm excited to talk to him because he has leveraged TikTok and started to use social media like a shit ton. What were his statistics? Like, yeah, dude, I mean, it's freaking awesome to see kind of like how he's done it. As like dude, it's just really cool how he's kind of leveraged all this stuff using TikTok, winning girls basketball coach. So it's cool. It'll be cool to talk to him. So we have him next week, and Justin Lima, who I just talked to last night. He is where is he? What the hell? I talk to these guys. Like, I use every social media network possible to talk to a lot of these guys. It's wild how we do it. But Coach Lima, he runs a great program. So we'll talk to him about it. Like I said, I think talking to these guys for like how they run their programs and what they do with it and all those kind of things, dude, it's opened up so many new doors, and like it's just so cool to listen to hear how all these guys kind of do things and whatnot. So it's really cool. So what is it? It's Michael Chase is Orange Beach High School in Alabama. Girls coach. He won a shit ton of games. His track record is freaking, dude. 29 years coaching. He's got 592 wins as a girls basketball coach in Alabama. State championship here, state championship there. You know what I mean? Like it's and now, like as an older coach, to use TikTok now the way he does it's pretty cool. So it'll be really cool to talk to him to kind of see how he does that, because I think a lot of guys wanted that, but they're scared to do that.
Absolutely, I agree. All right, perfect.
Which public school guy, that scares the shit out of me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I run our social media account. I'm nervous with everything I freaking post, just because who the hell knows?
I remember those days.
Nope.
That's the only thing I don't. I miss a lot of most of the stuff from high school coaching, and the thing that always would draw me back is that, like,
oh, I'm sorry,
it's hard to be yourself. So
absolutely,
like,
because that how that works.
Actually, like, your personality and come out, it is hard.
You could never do the Republican stuff if you were freaking coaching.
No.
Although
I thought was interesting is, Paul Feinbaum, who's on ESPN, he's running for
of course he is.
He's running for office in Alabama, but he's ESPN, and he's running as a Republican.
Ooh. Remember Tommy Tuberville?
Did you know that he's running as a Republican? So ESPN obviously is very
in the South.
In the South, he's be a Republican. So I think ESPN. I wonder if he went to ESPN to let him know, like, I'm going to be running for office as a Republican.
These guys don't care.
They probably were like, what?
They're like,
he said never, because his name is Feinbaum, right? And his parents were Jewish. I don't know if he's Jewish, but he says his parents were Jewish, and he's never talked about his
affiliations
ever. Yes, but he's a Republican. So it's really, and I guess his parents moved him down south when he was young, and that's obviously part of how he became a Republican. But yeah, I thought that was interesting because ESPN is so liberal, like
oh my
and
god,
it's so liberal. I'm sure they were like their executives are probably freaking out when they heard that.
out.
They're probably freaking out.
Freaking
like,
out, no doubt.
Mom is a conservative.
Fire him.
They're like, what?
Fire him.
Oh, I thought that was funny. But anyway, yeah. There's no doubt. Like, I mean, in a Catholic school, you'd be fine, but but as a definitely in a public school, like people would definitely give you. They may not say anything to you, but they probably behind closed doors be having conversations.
Oh, I am sure they're having that conversation.
They would be having that conversation. I mean, and if I was coaching in a public school, they would be having that conversation behind closed doors. So
before you go, why can I not follow any more people on Twitter?
There is a limitation to how many you can follow. I don't know. So are you paying the you are? I thought it was like 2,000 or something.
And I have 43. Like I have 4,300 followers. It's not like it's not like I have 500 followers, dude.
There's a how many have you followed so far?
Like what do I have on here? I don't know. 5,000? 5,200.
I wonder if it. I remember
there's got to be some like limit. There's got to be like a number. Like you can only follow this many, or hey,
it might be per day, Derek. It might be like per day or per week. So like I would like not. I wouldn't follow for a couple of days and then try again. Like, and then you're probably limited to a certain amount per day. I just don't know how many that is, but you definitely are limited a certain amount because there'll be times I don't do it as much as I used to, but like I used to do it, and I remember I used to like be like, you can't follow more than.
I just get pissed because when I see something, I'm like, oh, I gotta follow this guy, and then I can message him to be like, hey, you want to come on, whatever. So I'm like, oh, what the shit. And Tony Holler and Corpus are doing another track football consortium. What is the word? What do they do? The track football consortium. December 5th and 6th outside Chicago.
Oh,
I'm gonna try and get to it.
When is it?
December 5th and 6th.
Let me see.
It's coming out tomorrow is the first day you can register and pay. It's gonna, dude. I don't even know. It's gonna happen so fast.
Oh, I see. Yeah, there it is. He's got
lineup.
He's got him, Corpus.
Yeah, I think it's the lineup will come out tomorrow. It says tickets go on sale tomorrow, Friday, October 3rd. Speaker lineup too. Dude, I don't care. It's gonna be just hear those guys speak.
You posted something else though. Another clinic. I don't know what that clinic is. You posted something today. Corpus, large group program, Q&A, training structure, seasonal progression. Have you seen the stuff of all the spinal engine stuff with the guy that I told you about? That he's been doing stuff with the WEC method. Have you seen that? No? I lose you? I think I lost you. Hello? Hello? Get out there.